Hello everyone, my name is Joshua. This is the 128th video of my video journal series. Today's date is Tuesday, the 16th of June, 2026. How's everyone been? I've been pretty good, thank you. And I finally brought my notebook here, and I'll be giving my review of the second Detective Conan movie, which is the 14th Target. Now, just a reminder that this review, or I guess my thoughts on this movie, will contain spoilers, so that's my warning. This will contain spoilers for the film, and I know it released all the way back in 1998, but you have been warned. So yeah, this review, quote-unquote review, will contain spoilers, so proceed at your own caution. If you don't want spoilers, then you can just watch the movie and then come back to this video. But anyway, so released in 1998, second Detective Conan movie, and my general thoughts on the film. I'll start with general thoughts. I thought this movie was very well done. It follows up the first movie quite nicely. Obviously, I wouldn't consider it, I guess, better than the first movie. Maybe because, it follows much of the same story structure. You got, introduction, middle, end, and in between the middle and end, the villain is revealed, and then the challenge of trying to arrest that villain or trying to, I guess, gain evidence to arrest that villain occurs. And, something I noticed about this movie had the same, I guess, structure as the first one, though it was more like a straightforward whodunit case. So basically, the plot revolves around a villain who, how do I describe this? I've written down notes, but it's essentially a villain who, I guess, assassinates people via what corresponding to what number they have in their name. So this has to do with the, I guess, Japanese language. But for example, there's various characters in the movie, such as Shinichi Kudo, who's the main character, and in his name contains the Japanese word for one, each. So basically, the killer, the villain, I should say, basically, before someone, I guess, is killed in the movie, they often, no, it wasn't before, no, sorry, it's when someone's killed in the movie, there's always a playing card found next to descending from, I believe it's, what's the max playing card value? I think it's like 14 or 12 or whatever, because it's called the 14th target. So you'll assume there's 14 targets in the movie. But anyway, so basically, whenever someone is killed in that movie via the villain, they are found next to a playing card which corresponds to a specific number, which is evident within their name. So Shinichi 1, obviously he isn't killed in the movie, spoiler alert, because he's the main protagonist, but that will mean he is 1. Alright, so that means he will be the very last suspect of that film. And they do mention how, because Shinichi's Conan, but, Conan can only turn into his adult form, which is Shinichi, at very certain times, and no one knows the difference between those two different people, even though they are the same person. That he ultimately doesn't get killed. But I'm just using it as an example. So basically, and they do mention it in the movie. If Shinichi was here, he would be the very last target, because it goes in descending order. So like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So yeah, and they do figure that out, like at some point in the movie, like saying, "Oh yeah, everyone in our crew has like a number within their names due to how, I guess, the Japanese naming system works." It's a Japanese thing. It wouldn't really work in English, I guess. I guess maybe like Shinichi is obvious, but with other ones, it's like the specific kana within their kanji names. It's very complex. But anyway, for, I guess, an English viewer, but for the Japanese, make a lot more sense. So yeah, basically, the villain is this wine expert guy who lost his taste after falling off a motorcycle, and he decides to get revenge on all the people who cause stress within his life, because he can no longer taste anything because of stress, apparently, from that motorcycle accident. So he decides to take his vengeance on all the people around his life and slowly kill them off via a riddle, or would you call it a riddle? It's more like when the villain, you know, wants to go a step beyond just simply killing people. He wants to do it with style, essentially. Saying, "Oh, I'll kill everyone, but I'll go from people who have 10 in their names, then 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1." Like if he wants to make things obvious, and that's something with the Detective Conan movies. The villain always wants to add like some sort of twist, some sort of puzzle or riddle, so then he can lead whoever's after his tail a clue, sort of. And I know there's like some, murderers and cold cases in real life that do revolve around that sort of thing, where they leave like clues and all that. But to me, it is like, I guess, a trope with these movies that, at least the first two I've seen, is that like the villain sort of leads like a trace. Or some like clues or evidence, or maybe because it's a movie, you want the audience to play along. Maybe I'm just thinking too deep into this. Um, so yeah, obviously, it did take me a while to figure out who the villain was in the movie. It wasn't like the first movie, but I sort of guessed who it was at the beginning. This one was a little bit more convoluted, um, because they only revealed like key details later on, some like key hints. But anyway, yeah, wine connoisseur. There's a specific name for that wine connoisseur, which I forgot, but they mention it in the movie. Or should I say film, if I want to be more fancy. Yeah, so obviously, guy wants to take revenge on others because he's like peeved off that he can no longer taste due to stress, apparently. Um, and yeah, like honestly, I had really I don't know, like any key problems with this movie. It does feel like a longer version of a television episode, and that's like what I've noticed from the first two movies. And by no way is that like a negative. But it does, I guess, have the same format of introduction, middle, which is like the climax, or that peak in the middle where you go like, all right, all the things are happening, all the crimes are being committed. How do we solve this case? And then the villain always gets revealed at the end via Conan's spiel. And obviously with I call it Conan's spiel because he's basically the one who, near towards the end of the film, gives his reasoning in front of everyone, including the villain, on why this person is the villain. And this one, obviously, when he gives his whole like reasoning, well, I guess spiel, as I like to call it, they're on like a island, and obviously there's no way that they can really escape. So I guess obviously the villain is gonna be like, all right, I'm cornered. Except he tries to escape via helicopter, but that didn't really work out. So I guess this one I didn't really have like an issue with. The last movie, however, during that scene, I was like, why doesn't the villain just escape? But he's like, all right, well, I guess I'm caught now, but here I'm gonna blow up the skyscraper. That's gonna be really weird out of context. But you know, like with this one, basically, I forgot to mention at the beginning of the movie, there's like a nightmare that this character called Ran has of a mother being, I think it's shot, and they reveal later on in the movie that Rand's father, his name is Kogoro, which has to be one of my favorite characters in Detective Conan. He's so hilarious. But anyway, he had to save his wife from a hostage situation and shot her near the leg, which is later revealed in the movie, not because he was reckless or anything, but because he wanted to scare the person holding his wife to let go of her and, in effect, saving her life. But in the movie, during like the middle portion, it's assumed that he was reckless and he just shot, even though he could have killed the victim, which was his wife. But it's later revealed he actually had the smarts, and he was like, you know what, I was gonna shoot, but I'm gonna deliberately miss, so then the hostage could be freed, sort of thing. It's kind of spooks the person who was capturing the victim, and they do reveal that at the end of the movie, and Conan does the exact same thing. Spoiler alert! I did give you a spoiler at the beginning, where he tries that exact same thing, where he picks up, I think, the villain's gun or whatever, and he does a deliberate miss, so then the hostage Rand can be freed, because Conan's with Rand, and then Rand's father is Kogoro, and then Rand's mother, I forgot her specific name, but yeah, so obviously there's a lot of information there. This one's a little bit more, I guess, in depth. Um, Animation, soundtrack, top notch. I don't have any issue with that. Um, yeah, and yeah, that's pretty much all the key points I wanted to touch. Yet again, though, the villain, I think the setup was pretty good, and the plot of the movie I found pretty interesting as well. Um, the 14th target. Basically, I guess everyone figuring out that all the people's deaths were corresponding with playing card numbers and it was in decreasing order. Um, I think that was like a very interesting premise and sort of like how they do their twist villains. It wasn't like I guess the first movie where the twist villain. At least whenever I watch movies, I can sort of pick up who the twist villain is. Well, this movie was a little bit more harder for me personally, but um, I feel like twist villains can be done in very, I guess, good and bad ways. And I think this movie does a good, sort of like quote unquote twist villain. But that's all really like all detective stories where everyone seems innocent in the start. Then you just got to go to the least suspicious person. That person is always like the killer or the culprit. Sorry. So yeah, with detective stories, look, it might be a little different. Um, but I found the movie to be entertaining. And this is someone who doesn't watch Detective Conan, right? I've only watched the first movie and that's it. But it's really got me interested in the franchise. And I know the Detective Conan movies are like way darker than the television series I've heard. But I guess it's a movie they want like bigger suspense with the bigger budget and all that. It needs to be captivating for audiences. Um, and yet again, it does just focus on the one case. I guess the first movie also focused on a singular case, but there were like, mini subplots in that film, or just like, mini steps that they had to take in order to solve the main case. This one, just, I guess, followed the convention of the typical, um, you know, investigation movie, and that's fine. Like, that's what I want, just, um, you know, I guess that clear sort of structure, but I did kind of like that first aspect of the first movie, but in no ways is that like I guess a negative aspect. I'm just saying it's like a little difference. Um, you know, and yeah, like overall pretty good. Yet again, I guess this is the only second movie, so I don't really have a lot to compare it of. And yet again, I'm by no means a movie critic. This is just my thoughts on the film. Um, I feel like you need to know. I guess you can know nothing about this series, but yet you can go in and still be able to enjoy it because they set up the characters pretty well. You get a hint of what they are and all that in like the beginning of the film, and yeah, honestly, overall, I just gotta say this. I'll most probably give it a 7 out of 10 for me. 7 out of 10 in terms of I guess my critical rating, or at least my enjoyment of the film. Like I said, I'm very bad with like critical analysis and all that, but I just enjoy watching movies. I don't really take like a professional stance with it. So I guess I'll give it like a 7 out of 10 in terms of my score for it, like how much I enjoyed it, sort of thing. Um, you know, and I guess like obviously I don't really have like main criticisms of this film, rather than it just follows I guess the same sort of beginning, middle, end. You know, um, I keep on saying beginning, middle, end without elaborating. So I just say it just follows the plot of like a standard, I guess, whodunit case. Um, which I've just seen like in plenty of movies, and by no means is that like a harsh negative or whatever. It's just that um, I guess that's like pretty much how investigation movies really rock and roll. And I don't know, after a while you do get a little bit bored of it. But I think this movie makes up for it for the amount of like twists and turns that they have. Um, and I guess that's with all investigation movies. They're really good at, I guess, twisting your perceptions about who's guilty or not. And I think they do it in like a very good way. And I guess that's how you're supposed to do investigation movies. There's no real other like quote unquote format you can do, which I guess is understandable. But I feel like one way they can um, really captivate your, I guess, attention all that by introducing twists and all that. But not cliche twists, but like twists with like meaning or purpose, which I feel like this film like does. Like all the evidence is there. If I were to rewatch the film and all that, I can most likely pick up all the tidbits that I missed, all the evidence which they explain at the end of the film. But it all makes sense once you view the evidence from earlier on in the film, in the first half and the first three fourths. So yeah, obviously that's, I guess, one aspect I like. The evidence makes sense and all that. If you look it back, you're like, oh yeah, that makes all sense now. Wraps up together nicely. And yet again, the characters, they're all fabulous. I like Rand's father, Kogoro. He does, like, I guess, talk his mouth a bit, and then Conan has to use his tranquilizer gadget to put him to sleep, and then he uses his mini voice changer to imitate his voice. It's an anime, alright. It's not supposed to make real world sense and all that, but yeah, he basically does his job for him, and that's why he takes all the fame, Kogoro, away from Conan, because everyone thinks it's Kogoro who's you know doing this whole figuring out process when it's actually Conan. But Conan's always hidden away somewhere using his voice changer. I know it's an anime film, all right. It's you know. Before I get into specifics of how does nobody notice Conan's around when the true detective or the true culprit is about to get revealed, sort of thing. It's just a film at the end of the day. But yeah, I know it might have seemed like short and sweet, but yet again, that's what I really have to say about the film. And now I am going to watch the third movie and fourth movie when they slowly release. So be tuned in for that, I guess. Is there anything else I want to say about this film? Not really. Backgrounds, animation, all that were pretty nice. It's all still drawn. It's all lovely, late '90s animation, and yeah, that's been pretty much it. Well, with this movie review, yet again, I wish I wrote more notes, but I feel like this review was a lot more structured than the last one. Maybe because that's why I wrote some detailed notes. So hopefully with the third film, I can really maybe go into depth, and slowly I'll work on my critical analysis, even though that's not my strong suit. But yeah, I do recommend to if you can watch this film. I used to watch some Detective Conan if you're really into like investigative crime drama and all that. Not really drama, but it can be a bit on edge sometimes. And obviously you don't really need to know much about the series, but you can still enjoy it. I just like Detective Conan for the characters. Some of the characters are really funny, and some of them are really expressive. Um, you know, and obviously it is an anime film, but and I am, I guess, a little bit biased towards anime. I do like anime, but no, it's really good. And obviously, there's like a lot of films which I like anime based, that usually get like low reviews because I like a lot of the old Pokemon movies, but I guess from a critical lens, someone who doesn't really know about the series will not really get that film and they'll rate it lower than someone who's a fan. But I feel like with this movie, you don't need to be a fan, and I've looked at the IMDb scores and similar opinions online, and they're like pretty much the same as me. They've rated the movie quite highly. So it's nice to know that I'm not really like alone in this opinion. But yeah, the 14th Target, another interesting film, another great film. I'll definitely give it a rewatch. I've heard that the first couple of Detective Conan movies are really, really good. Um, and I've heard the recent ones are also pretty good as well. I remember last year going into theaters and they were showing that Detective Conan movie called One Eyed Flashback, which was the movie that released in 2025. This was last year. And unfortunately, I did not see it because I was not a Detective Conan fan back then. I knew what the series was, but I didn't see it. But I wish I did. I know there's one that released just recently in Japan, and it's about to make its debut in UK and Irish theaters as well. I forgot what it's called. I think it's something to do with like a motorcycle or whatever. I know it sounds weird, but it's got motorcycle in the title. You can look it up. Just Detective Conan movie 2026. That one I will watch in theaters, but there's no Australian release date yet. So yeah, I gotta wait a bit, but yeah, I'll definitely like to watch a Detective Conan movie in the theaters. Certainly be very interesting, and I have heard the recent ones have been like pretty good as well. So yeah, I'll definitely be down, and hopefully when that gets a release date, because I know they released the last movie, so they should release this one in Australia at least. I'll definitely be giving my review on that. I don't know how I'll be able to, write during the movie, because usually I like to do one thing at once, one thing at a time. Watch a movie and then skim through it and write notes and all that. And I don't know really how like movie critics do it. Do they like go to the movie theater, write on their notepad or whatever? Do they write it after the movie? I guess it depends who you're asking, but you won't be able to see because of the dark theater inside what you're writing. So yeah, obviously I'm still getting like used to this sort of thing, but no, I enjoyed this movie heavily. And before I end this video, I'll go into a bit of how my day's been. I know this is not usually a feature of movie reviews, but this is a video journal series. I can, I guess, close this book physically and metaphorically. There we are. Yeah, my day's been very good actually. And obviously, I'm glad to be back home. I'm quite booked for the rest of the week. Usually, it's always flip flopping between days which I have nothing, and then days which I have like a lot of things happening. Just in terms of like personal stuff, and yeah, I've been slowly working on it, and obviously, cleaning up my room. Um, just reorganizing things, and yeah, that's been pretty much what I've been doing. But some days I just feel a little bit burnt out, especially having to look for a job as well. That's another thing I also got to do, but I'm not too, I guess, in a hurry with that. But apart from that, yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed watching this series and my reviews. Please leave comments down below of how I can, I guess, improve my reviews. If you have like something that you want me to, I guess, sort of uh, implement, or something that I should really like work upon, because I'm always looking to improve these videos, and I know I pretty much have like a very small, I guess, uh, very small, I guess, you know, community right now, I guess, or who I guess watch my videos and who are subscribed, but that doesn't really matter. Um, but yeah, I like to see more, I guess, community engagement, and I want to hear more from you guys, you, the viewer. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed yet again. Detective Conan: The 14th Target is out in theaters in 1998. Just kidding, it's 2026. Yeah, 28 years old. This movie, 28 years old. Next year will be the 30th anniversary of the first Detective Conan movie. So I wonder if they're going to do something for that. Hopefully they re-release all the old Detective Conan movies on like Blu-ray or streaming, all that. Who knows? Maybe they'll do that next year. Um, so I'm always excited to see what the future holds. But anyway, that's enough of me talking, and I guess I'll catch you all later. Bye. See you. Take care. Catch you all tomorrow. I don't know why I clicked twice. I should have just clicked that one time. But anyway, I'll catch you all tomorrow.